Well, after tonight, I've only got one more night with you all. That's sort of tough. It's sort of like it's become a family here. I've enjoyed our times together. The only part I did not enjoy is going to bed so late. But that said, I've really enjoyed my time. Now we're going to talk tonight about, whatever that says, allergies, of course. And everyone has some type of an allergy. It's just that it doesn't manifest itself very well. There are some children who are born and have to live in a plastic bubble because everything that comes along they're going to get. What's their problem? What's their foundational problem that causes them to live in a biosphere that's cleaned from everything? Does anyone know what it is?
Immune system is not...
It's the immune system, exactly right. So when we're talking about allergies, we're talking about the immune system. Some people are allergic to just about everything. Some people are allergic to... I've always considered myself to be allergic to nothing. But then I started to think, when I was a child, if I ate chocolate, my nose would get itchy and my nose would run. And I'm thankful because I never developed a taste for chocolate, which is an addictive drug in and of itself. Until a couple of weeks ago when I took my mother out to eat in Maryland, I ate something and this eye looked like it was gone psychedelic. I couldn't even, it was the strangest thing. And I'll tell you what that one is. I'm going to show you some common allergens. But when we look at what causes an allergy, I've got a picture here. Does anyone know what this is? What's that? Yeah, you're from Iceland. This is a trigger, okay? All allergies have to have a trigger that bring on the reaction that when you're having it. Some people are going along just fine. Some people are going along just fine, and all of a sudden they do something that causes them to have the allergic reaction. And I'll explain a little bit more about this. But we said that it's all about the immune system. The immune system's purpose is to look for foreign invaders. In this case, a bacteria. It sees a bacteria. There are various cells in the immune system. The main cell is the commander-in-chief, or you can call it that. It's called the helper T cell. It will tell the killer T cells, it will tell the macrophages, it will tell other cells to go there and do what this one's done, encapsulate it and kill it. That's a good thing. That's the purpose of the immune system. But that's when we get viruses and bacteria. But what happens when we get other allergens into our bodies, like dust? Anyone here allergic to dust? Yeah, okay. What can you do about that? You can move to Antarctica, or you can find out what I can do to make my immune system strong enough not to be allergic to dust. And we'll explain how to do this in a little bit. But in our experience, there are many, many allergens all around us. For some people with weakened immune systems, it's going to have a reaction. When it reacts, when we get these pathogens, let's say down in the lungs, the body mounts up an immune response. The immune response sends a certain type of a blood cell called a mast cell. It's a large cell which produces histamines. You ever heard of histamines? When you get a runny nose, what do they prescribe you take? An antihistamine. Well, the histamine is part of your immune response. Trouble is, when you have a virus or a bacteria, that's a good thing. How about when you have pollen? And I'm sure that sometime during the year, a 2-week window here in Iceland, you do have some pollen in the air. If you get that into your bodies, then your body's going to send these mast cells producing histamines. And what does this do? It causes your blood vessels to get very tight. They start to leak, and we get a runny nose. And we get stuffy sinuses. We get various manifestations of our immune system going to work. Now, you can walk around wearing a mask all the time. Matter of fact, in Japan, a lot of people do. But that's really not going to take care of most of the problems. Now, other types of allergies are food allergies. And we're going to talk most about food allergies here because of the fact that most of the time it's the food that's going to be your trigger for your immune response to other environmental pollutants that you're dealing with. The problem with these is they may not show up for 3 days. So you eat a food that your body is allergic to. 3 days later, you have an allergic reaction. Are you going to think about what you ate 3 days ago? No, you're going to think about what happened today, and you miss the reason. We had a young man come to my sanitarium in America some years ago. He was from the country of Zambia. He was almost dead. He was so sick they had to carry him off of the airplane. We brought him to where I work. We put him on a special diet that I'm going to explain to you to find out what's causing this problem. When he was on that diet for about 3 weeks, he was pretty well off. After a month, he was perfectly normal. So we realized the trigger is something he was eating. So we challenged him with a food. Now I always think I already mentioned this in another meeting. His number one allergy was maize. Corn. The number one food in Zambia. To eat that laid him out. Well, he realized he could never again eat maize. I saw him in Zambia a few years ago, perfectly healthy, perfectly strong, everything was going great, but he realized this is not good for me. And when we realize that something is not good for us, what should we do? Don't do it anymore. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to do, but whatever. Food allergies will give us many reactions. One of the main ones is going to be what we call, you can't see it very well, but we get skin irritations. This is called hives. But I found my food, what I suspect was my food allergy just before I came here. I ate in a restaurant, and I just had salad. But they put things on the salad. One of the things they put on the salad is MSG. You ever heard of MSG? Yeah. Monosodium glutamate. It is a neurotoxin. It excites your nerves. In my right eye, I was really concerned for a short time. It passed very quickly, but I'm going to be far more careful in the future. We cannot eat this type of a food. It's very dangerous. Now, we have different levels of tolerance for things. People have very high tolerance for pain. Some people have a very low tolerance of pain. I've got a pretty high tolerance of pain. I can take a lot of pain before I say, we've got to stop this. As a matter of fact, when I go to a dentist, I don't take shots. I just let them drill in my teeth without Novocaine, because I don't want the shots. I just don't think it does good things to your body. But we also have a level of our ability, our threshold for allergic reactions. If our threshold is very high, a lot of things can come into our life that's not going to cause an allergic reaction. One of your main allergens is animals. Did you realize that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was traveling through America doing some lecturing. We stayed with a couple for a weekend. And this woman had so many allergies. She spent a lot of time in the hospital. And her husband, in the church, in the Christian church, there is a special ceremony defined in James, the 5th chapter. It is called the anointing service. It says, if any's sick, let him call for the elders, anointing him with oil, praying for him, and basically he'll be healed. So they says, can you please have an anointing service for my wife? Well, to do this, my conscience tells me I've got to make sure they're doing nothing to invite the allergic reactions. And I was with another doctor, and she was asking questions, and then I asked a question. I said, how long? Remember, that was the main question. How long have you had these allergies? She says, My husband was in college. It was the last semester of his college. Then the allergy started, that last semester. I says, fine. We went on talking, and then into the room ran two little foo-foo dogs. I call them foo-foo dogs, worthless dogs, as far as I'm concerned. And see, this couple could not have children. These were their children. So after these dogs were running all around, jumping up on the laps and stuff, I asked my second question. You know what the question was? How long have you had these dogs? You know what the answer was? When my husband was in the last semester of college. What was her problem? She was allergic to her children. Matter of fact, sometimes a husband and wife can be allergic to each other, especially their body fluids. But she was not going to get rid of her dogs. Not going to do it. Should we have an anointing service? I can't do that in good conscience. We know what's hurting her. If a person is coughing all the time, can you do an anointing service? I say, get rid of the cigarettes first. That'll usually take care of the problem. Okay, so going back to the cat. That's going to be your first, that's one of the major allergens in the world. Let's say another one, very big allergen, is shellfish. Very bad for some people. But are they having an allergic reaction here? Are they having an allergic reaction? No, their threshold's up here. Their immune system is strong enough to keep everything under control. All right, let's add something else to the mix. How about odors? Different odors in the house. Cleaning detergent. Some people, in the church I go to in America, they tell the members of the church, don't wear aftershave, don't wear perfume. Many of our patients have compromised immune systems and they cannot take the smells, they have allergic reactions. Now sometimes the allergic reactions is a runny nose. Nothing wrong with a runny nose. Sometimes an allergic reaction is anaphylaxis and sometimes it is death. They have had people on airplanes die because someone was eating peanuts near them. And peanuts is a major allergen for some people. Let me give you some balance here. We're going to talk about many things. I'm not telling you, go home tonight and throw away all your cleaners and get rid of the animals. I'm not telling you this. But if you have allergies, I'm asking you, consider this. Okay? Do they have an allergic reaction yet? No. Their allergic reaction is here. Let's add pollen. In the springtime, I've got, well, my youngest sister, she has such bad allergies. You know what? She knows what causes her allergies. One, she's allergic to cats. She's got 2 large cats that sleep in the bed with her. She will not get rid of the cats. She's also allergic to the pollen. If she touches the cat and touches her eye without thinking about it, her eyes swell up. She's going to have to deal with this, but she will not get rid of the cats. I love my little sister. She's got the biggest heart in the world. All the cats, and she's got more than 2, all the cats that she has are stray cats that she's adopted. One of them is 19 years old. Cats don't live to be 19, but my sister is a good cat person. Okay, next one. Oh, perfumes. Some people are allergic to smells. Are they having an allergic reaction yet? Are they? No. Why? Because this is where the immune system says, we can't do this anymore. We cannot take the load on the immune system. And now we take that last thing. We take, and I'm just going to use dairy products, because that's the world's #1 allergen. Now what's just happened to this person? They've got a runny nose, they've got a headache, they've got a rash, they have an allergic reaction. How can you stop the allergic reaction here?
Don't eat that.
Do what?
Don't eat this.
Well, don't eat that, or Get rid of the cat. Get rid of the shellfish. Get rid of the, whatever else in here that you may be allergic to, get rid of as many things as you can. And you'll find that, hey, it's not so bad anymore. And allergies must be terrible. Now some of you are my age, or maybe even some of you might be older. We live in a totally different world today than our children and our children's children are living in today, are we not? We are living in such a polluted world. There is so much stress in our atmosphere. We've got polluted water. Perhaps not up here in Iceland. You're really blessed. But let me tell you something. And I found this out. Talk with people. The Gulf Stream comes all the way to Iceland. And it doesn't just bring water, folks. It brings everything in the water. So it's not as clean as it used to be. Tobacco smoke. There is so much pollutants in our world today. And another very big one I've already talked about a couple of times. This one called Chernobyl. This one called Fukushima Daiichi. You know what these are? Nuclear power plants that had the accidents. Within a short time after the Fukushima Daiichi accident, it's been dumping 1,000 tons of contaminated water in the ocean. And this is a view of where all that radiation is today. Now you may not be able to see it, but let me point it out. This is the west coast of the United States. This is the Baja Peninsula. This is Central America. This is South America. It has completely covered the Pacific Ocean, the Eastern Pacific Ocean, in a very short period of time. And it doesn't go away, folks. But more than that, which is more of a concern with you because you're insulated by all of this, which is good news for you. But how about this one? Within a short time of the accident, the cloud of radioactive isotopes, 10 days, was over the entire western United States. It's causing major problems. I mentioned before, one of the major problems I am seeing in Eastern Europe is thyroid problems. And now, since Fukushima Daiichi, thyroid problems are on a great... I told you, as soon as that happened, it says, be prepared for thyroid problems. You're going to have them. So you say, well, we don't have to worry about that. That's stopped in Montana. No, we have a thing called the jet stream. The jet stream is where the pollution went. And notice where this is going. And this one's going. There's good old Iceland up here. I suspect some of the radioactive isotopes have come flying by Iceland. If you were here for, I forget which talk I gave, I talked about a Japanese doctor who lived in the city of Nagasaki. When they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki, his hospital was 1.4 kilometers from the hypocenter of the blast. But not one of his patients or staff got any problems with the radioactive fallout. Do you remember why? The diet he had them on. He had them on brown rice, he had them on miso soup, which is basically tofu. He had them on sea vegetables, which is going to raise your iodine in your body. He had them on sea salt. He had them on pumpkins, Hodaico pumpkins, but any type of a squash plant. And no sweets whatsoever. And not one person. To me, this is unheard of. But we can do this too. Now, the first thing you need to realize in dealing with allergies is we've got to have a strong immune system to keep these pathogens. See, I mentioned the food allergies. What happens with a food allergy is when you eat it, the body recognizes it as an enemy. Why it recognizes it as an enemy, I have no idea, but it does. And I'll be talking about that more in just about a minute, or a couple of minutes. But when it recognizes a food as an allergy, it makes antigens. The immune system goes after it, and there's where we get all the allergic reactions in our body. It's really bad stuff. So what can we do to make this system? See, the purpose, these are called killer T cells. The purpose for these cells is to kill the cancer cells, and it does quite a good job. But when you don't have cancer, when you're not sick, we need to allow the body to rest, which means our white blood cell count should be below 5,000. I suspect if you are a regular meat eater, I'm not condemning you for this, I ate meat three meals a day for many years. If you are a regular meat eater, your white blood cell count is much higher than this. Why would this be? Well, I'll tell you why. If you want to keep it below 5,000, what you need to do is eat a total vegetarian diet. Because there's not that many things in fruits and vegetables that cause the immune system to rally itself. But if you are eating a meat-based diet, it's got all kinds of little surprises for you. It's got steroids, it's got antibiotics, it's got pathogens, it's got viruses, it's got all kinds of antibiotics, it's got so many things that will weaken your immune system and make diseases grow quicker. Beyond that, if you like the chicken, especially if they are factory farmed chickens. Now, if you have your own chickens somewhere and they're out there scratching around, eating worms, everything else, if you're going to eat chicken, eat those chickens. But if you are buying chickens that were raised in a factory farm, which is inhuman to begin with, your white blood cells count's going to go up. If you like pork, do you realize in factory farms the mother sow cannot even turn around? They impregnate her, she lays there, the babies suckle, they kill the babies, she gets impregnated again, and her immune system, our white blood cells go up. Here's one that you are doing here. Factory fish. When they have a net out in the ocean growing fish in there, that is going to greatly raise your white blood cell count because it's not healthy food anymore. And then you got your cows. So when you get up to 15,000 folks, your immune system is completely worn out. Another thing you can do to keep your immune system strong is keep your resting pulse rate under 80. And you probably don't even know what your resting pulse rate is. You should know what it is. All you got to do when you're sitting there relaxing is feel your pulse and see how many times your heart beats every minute. That's your resting pulse rate. Frankly, it should be 60 or below. But to keep your immune system strong, at least under 80. How do you keep your resting pulse low? How do you get your resting pulse low? Exercise, yeah. Go up there and walk up some of your strange mountains here, and that's going to give you a much lower heart rate because your heart gets stronger. And as we're eating a clean diet, our blood vessels get cleared. Our hearts aren't working so hard. Another thing we need to do to have a strong immune system is keep our urine pale. If when you go to the toilet, your urine looks like beer, you got a problem. You are compromising your immune system. How do we keep our urine pale? How? Drinking more water. That's the best way in the world. Whether and here, I mean, you got the best water I've ever tasted here in Iceland. Apparently, from this picture, this is a picture taken here in Iceland. You can drink it right out of the streams. I'd be sort of worried about Giardia, but whatever. We've got, how much water should we drink a day? At least 3 liters a day. For most people, 3 liters a day. I suspect not one of you drinks 3 liters of water a day. But our body, our blood, 93%, our body's 70% water, our blood, our plasma, 93% water, our brains, 85% water, our muscles, 75% water, our bones, 20 to 25% water, and our teeth, 10% water. If we are not drinking water like we should, every one of these things are going to suffer. Another way to keep the immune system strong is we need to be regular on everything that we do. And I have to commend you. I just came from Dominican Republic. If I was going to start a class at 7 o'clock, it wasn't until at least 7:20 that I had enough people to talk to. In Brazil, even later than that. In India, if a meeting starts at 7, you might start something by 8. You don't start the meeting until 9. You people are here right on time. We need to be regular in everything that we do. We need to be regular in our sleeping habits. I'm not doing that very well here. We need to be regular in our exercise. This is a guy carrying wood up the mountain in Nepal, in West Bengal, India. Regular in our meals, regular in study, everything we do. Matter of fact, this is critical for people with depression. If a person has depression, they've got to get on a schedule so rigid that 1 minute does not vary in their lives. If they go to bed at 9 o'clock, they're in bed at 9 o'clock. They get up at 6 o'clock, that's their schedule. It's vital for a person. Another thing to keep the immune system strong is we need to get plenty of oxygen. Now, we talked about this the other night. And some of you probably right now, not looking, aren't getting as good of oxygen as you should. Why do you think that would be?
Fresh air.
All right, fresh air. And we don't have a whole lot of that, but there's something else going on.
Water.
If your posture, if you are sort of slumped down in your chair, your lungs are compressed and you're not breathing deeply. Try it. Just take a deep breath right now and then straighten your back really straight and take another deep breath. If the second breath felt easier than the first breath, your posture was bad. And we got to get air all the way down to the bottom of our lungs. It's a wonderful thing to get it down there. Another thing, if we feel like our immune systems are getting strong, we can take a hot treatment. Now, my dear sister here taught me how to take a shower. I didn't take a teeth out there. She taught me how to control the water. I was turning on just a little bit of water and cranking it up to 90 because I wasn't getting very warm water, and pretty soon my skin starts peeling off. Then I'm bringing it down. She told me, you got to crank that water all the way up, and then it works fine. It does. But when you get in hot water, it will increase the oxygen content of your blood. That's very good for your immune system. Also, and I don't know I got this far in my cancer talk, cancer hates oxygen. So the more oxygen we have, breathing properly, heating treatments, we're going to have a higher content of oxygen in our blood. Where I work in America, we've got a special chamber where we put people in it, we close it, and we flip the switch, and it increases the atmospheric pressures. It's called a hyperbaric chamber. And it causes their blood oxygen to go really up. It worked great for cancer. It works great for depression. It's amazing what it will do. Also, if a person is in a hot water, besides oxygen going up, it also increases your white blood cell count, which is a nice thing. Not only does it increase your white blood cell count, which now you need if you're having a cold or something, the white blood cells are a whole lot faster. They move very quick towards the enemies in your body. So these are things that we can do to keep our immune system strong. But in 2 meetings, I've talked about the relationship of the mind to the body. Do you realize that the mind has a powerful effect upon your immune system? If you do things that you enjoy, if you like art and you're doing art and you really enjoy this, it's going to make your immune system strong. If you like music, and I do like music, it's going to, when you're doing it, it makes your immune system strong. If you like gardening, it will make your immune system stronger just to do these things. So, folks, find something you enjoy doing. I feel sorry for people who get a job. They're workaholics, they hate their job, and they can't wait till they get old enough to retire. And they spend 40 years miserable. Don't do that, folks. There's better things to do with our lives than be miserable for 40 years. And for 40 years, you've got an impaired immune system because you don't like what you're doing. I am blessed above all people because I love what I do. I love the traveling, I love speaking, I love meeting new people. I just wish I had the gift of tongues that I could talk in these languages. But your words are this long, I can't even pronounce them. Right? Another thing that's going to cause allergies. Now we're sort of off the immune system, but it's still on it. It's the diets that we eat will have a profound effect upon our allergic reaction. Now, when we look at this right here, it all looks rather nice. Well, the trouble is, we have to understand the conditions of the animals that made the meat that we've got on our tables. Now, apparently the lambs you have here are free range up in the mountains, doing great. But even with this, if you slaughter an animal, in America, this is what they do. They slaughter animals. If they see a tumor, they cut the tumor out, and they throw it in a bucket. You know what happens to the bucket? They grind it up and make it into pet food. Your dogs and your cats get the tumors. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're cutting a tumor out of a piece of meat, the whole meat is contaminated. Those pathogens don't stay in one little place. They spread out through the body. Another cause, big cause of allergies, especially today, is when we wean our children too soon. Now, I'm using Google Translate. It's not Linda's fault. But if we take the child off the breast and put them on solid food, less than a year of age, we're opening them up for allergies. Normally, a child becomes allergic to the first food they eat, besides mother's milk. Matter of fact, a child who is breastfed for at least 1 year has a far stronger immune system than other children. They have a nefarious thing they do down in Africa, in the cities. A woman goes to the hospital, has her baby. A representative comes in and he says, I know that you are tired, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you 3 days of baby formula. So you don't have to worry about it. They'll just feed your baby formula, and you don't have to worry about nursing your baby. After 3 days on baby formula, what happens to the mother's milk? It stops flowing. So now when the mother brings the baby back in and tries to nurse it, nothing comes out. And then the representative comes back. How do your baby like the milk? Likes it very much. But the trouble is, I'm not producing any. Well, I've got some more milk. And again, she reaches out and he says, whoa a minute, this will cost you this time. It's a terrible thing that we do. Our children need to be breastfed. We need to not eat so much food. And most people eat far too much food. We need to, is that a strange translation?
No.
No, okay, okay. Stay away from overeating. They have a saying in Japan, leave the table when you're 80% full. What that basically means is, when you leave the table, you can still eat more. Is that easy to do? Especially if it's really good food? No, it's hard to leave the table when there's still more food on the table and you can eat more. As science looks at longevity of human life, they've only found one thing that guarantees that a person can live long, and that is caloric restriction, eating less food. That's the only thing they know of for sure that's going to ensure us a long lifespan. If a vegetarian pigs out every single meal, he's doing himself no favors. You might as well eat sparingly of meat than pigging out on plant foods. Another